You're about to enter a podcast filled with high strangeness, conspiracies, the paranormal, and legends from around the world, with your host, Ken Mark, and brought to you by WNIP Productions. This is Somewhere in Dreamland.
Welcome back, dreamers. Boy, have I got a good one for you tonight. My guest is Greg Smith. Greg is the head researcher at the Sasquatch Hunter Organization of Michigan, and he's had hundreds of run-ins with the big hairy creature known to many as Bigfoot. But wait, I'm not going to let this go on without a twist. That's right, Greg has had encounters with a Bigfoot that talks. So without further ado, grab your blanket, turn down the lights, get comfy, and let's fade away into
Dreamland.
Yo, Greg, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you tonight?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm not too shabby at all.
Good.
Well, hey, let's get this rolling, man. I'm interested to hear some things from you. So,
Okay, cool.
all right. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, first of all.
Well, I've been doing this for approximately a little bit over 35 years. I haven't figured it out. What got me into it was Leonard Nimoy In Search Of,
Okay.
1979. So, after that, it was all downhill. It was the story where the cabin and the husband and wife was living in a cabin and the Bigfoot reached his hand through the window. After that, I haven't, I've been into it.
Had you hooked, huh?
Yep.
So, what age would you say you actually started going out and investigating or researching or?
Well, I grew up in Hell, Michigan. So, literally, as soon as I could drive.
Okay.
One of the guys that owned the store there told me about two sheriffs in the 50s their cars got attacked by a Squatch. So that just I think that really ignited me. But I had also an aunt tell me a story when I was 13 about in Arkansas. She lived around the Falk area.
Oh yeah, Folk Monster.
Yep, of the Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah.
She was telling me, and they lived out in the middle of the woods, and she was telling me that she got up one night and heard something walking in the backwoods. Now her backwoods was nothing but woods, deep woods. And she heard, so when she turned on the kitchen light, it stopped walking. Woke up the whole family, and the whole family said, yeah, but they all called her crazy.
That's pretty common, right?
Very common.
Especially back in that day and age.
Yep. Because I don't know what year that will happen. She never told me the year. She just told me. But all our kids were, my cousins were older than me. I think the youngest one I was 13. I think he was probably 25. So it's probably the story was probably at least 20 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that time I seen Boggy Creek, but I didn't know where Boggy Creek was. It was just a video that I watched on VHS or Creature Feature, something like that. And then, later on, I realized, oh, that's what it was. But yeah, as you know, I'm a father of 3.
Yes, you are, Dad.
If you hear a little peanut gallery behind me, let me know. I'll tell him to be quiet.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
All 3 kids have went out with me.
Nice.
The oldest daughter doesn't believe, even though she's seen several.
Oh.
The middle child believes. She's went out with me quite a bit. She's seen some strange stuff too. And my son, he's 8, And he's been going out with me since he was 4.
Yeah, I saw that in some of your videos. That's pretty neat. I like how you get them involved in it.
Yep. I don't know if you've seen the video of we're out there with an old research guy and 2 of his friends with Brandon, and we actually, the area we were in, a real good area, there's one we call Grumpy. I do got a photograph of him. But anyways, I came back in early because Brandon was getting tired. So it was just about dark. And this Squatch had followed us probably a mile. He would parallel us and then follow us. And we get to this one narrow part. And I turn around and you could see him actually watching Brandon and I. Brandon had got a lifesaver for his birthday. Somebody brought him a lifesaver for his birthday. So he was playing with that. So the Squatch was interested, especially with the little kids sitting on top of a guy's head, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he followed us almost all the way back to our vehicles. Why we nicknamed him Grumpy was I had another research partner, Jeremy, with me, and we were out there, and we walked out, and I had one of my dogs with me, a chow that was about 75 pounds. We really hadn't had any luck. This is the same area, and we were heading back, and I don't know if you ever heard of zapping.
No.
Okay. Zapping is something they do to disorient or to get you to go the other way.
Okay, explain it to me. What is it?
Basically, we don't know. I mean, some people say it's infrasound.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Some people say it's telepathic. I have no clue. It could be a hormone. It could be, I don't know. Anyways, so we're coming up this path and it splits. We're supposed to go right to the parking lot. We were trying to go left. My dog actually pulled us the right way. And how we do stuff out there, we don't mention anything we'll say what just happened, and we both have to say what just happened, because you don't want that person say, oh yeah, that's what happened.
And now, or now it's stuck in their mind, so they second guess themselves. Yeah.
Well, I didn't mention nothing to Jeremy, and Jeremy didn't mention nothing to me. We went up the hill, and we seen some tree formations or structures or whatever you want to call them. So I'm taking photos of them. All these photos that I mentioned are up on my Sasquatch Hunter organization page. And Bob Dangle, he's an author out of Michigan, real good guy. He actually went in and blew up one of the photos. There was a set of 4 photos. The first one and the second one didn't have eye shine. The third one did. And the fourth one didn't. Bob blew up the third one and seen a face. But as soon as I took that 4th photo, this Squatch threw a fit. He was stomping, breaking trees. He chased, literally, he made sure we left. He followed us all the way out.
Did it scare you at all? I mean, is that why?
That's why I call him Grumpy. He wasn't happy I blinded him with the flash, basically. But yeah, the photo's up on my Facebook page. They'll have to find it. But yeah, you see the photo pretty clear. I mean, the face and everything.
Oh, I missed that one. I'm gonna have to go back and look.
I'll have to go look. I think it was in 2013.
So, what kind of tools do you use when you're out there?
You know what? I just basically a flashlight maybe bring some glow sticks. My camera is my phone. I do have a FLIR 1. The thermal imager that attaches to your camera.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a drone, but I don't usually use the drone because once it gets cloud cover here, once it gets summer, all the leaves, once the leaves come on the trees, you can't see nothing.
Yeah.
Usually I'll take it up in the winter and look for foot tracks and then see how far they went.
Have you ever gotten anything on the drone?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It's basically to get me in, because Michigan is kind of swampy.
Yeah.
To get me into those areas that I can't actually get in there easily.
Right. Kind of helps you navigate better.
Yeah, there's a couple islands up on my page that we wanted to check because we actually seen something on a satellite image. So I was able to fly the drone out there, drop down, and see it was old hunting blind. Or a log, Usually it's just is just an investigation too. But I don't fly it that much.
Okay.
But yeah, the FLIR, they're good, but when you're in thick woods, they suck.
Okay.
Because the trees are all warm, so it's just a big red blob.
Yeah.
There's some. Okay, bear with me. Okay, there was a theory came out that some of these tree formations are portals. So the guy that we were actually basing off this theory was, I got this where these three trees cross and you put your hand in the middle and it feels cold. He was correct. I don't know why it felt cold. I had a thermometer, a digital thermometer, and my FLIR, and it did show cold compared to the rest.
Is it cold maybe because it's shaded, because they're pulled in?
Yeah, I don't know. No, it wasn't shaded. It was actually, when we did it, it was overcast, and it was in the middle of the woods.
Okay.
So there's shade all around.
Okay.
And it would be, if I'm remembering correctly, the cold spot was about a quarter size. Actually, let's go 50-cent piece round.
So it'd kind of be the same concept or theory behind when paranormal investigators feel cold spots. It would be the entity drawing in the
energy
around it, and it forms a cold spot so that they can materialize.
These were dead trees, so like I said, there wasn't really enough hard evidence to say, because the cold spot was on a tree. It wasn't in the center of the structure.
Okay.
It wasn't, but you could actually put your hand in there and it would feel cold. But inside that, where it felt cold, it showed a particular temperature. And it was checked with 2 different devices.
And how much of a temperature difference did you say there was?
You know what? I can't remember now.
Okay.
I'm wanting to say more than 5 degrees.
Okay.
No more than 10.
All right.
I can't remember the scale, but I know I had it set where the red is hot and blue was cold, and it was showing a blue.
Okay.
But I can't remember. I don't even know if I put the video up of it on the FLIR. I can record video. I don't remember if I put it up on or not.
All right.
But it's but really basically the basic tools I take: a flashlight, one of the tactical ones, because they have the big luminas and they're pretty good. Actually, I bought a $25 one, rechargeable one from Harbor Freight. Works great. Don't have, and then my camera, and that's it. I don't carry anything big. Like, I know a lot of guys will take flares out, $10,000 or $20,000 flares. I can't afford that. Or they'll they'll buy these heaters and go 30 miles into the woods. No, you don't have to far. It surprises me how little woods they actually need to live in.
So how do you, when you go into an investigation, tell me a little bit about how you conduct it. Like what steps do you take?
Well, I retired out of the Department of Corrections, so I have a law enforcement background. So what I look at is who, what, when, where. And one thing first we do is try to prove that it was a human. Okay, like these tree formations, we go out there. Okay, who would do this? What a human would come out here? Well, humans are lazy, and actually, if you look, I'll tell you the whole story about it. I'm on page. There's actually heater trotter tree. It's a huge tree. If you look at the photos, it's huge. So there's no way a human without a bobcat or some kind of device could actually move this tree. So I knew that wasn't a human. Now, like these smaller ones, it's like, okay, by a trail. Okay, yes, most likely it wasn't done by a human, but you don't know. Now, a mile into a swamp, which is actually, if you look at the photo of my border of my Facebook page, that was done a mile in the woods, a mile in a swamp. My legs were bloody after I went in there because it was so thick. So it was no human. There was trash left. Because humans leave trash no matter where they go. So I mean, I try to get the human aspect out of it, and then I'll just go through and say, okay, can I prove this in a court of law? Yes or no? Take photos. Try to sit there and think of how they did it, why they would do it, and which way were they going. And that goes by, years of Bigfooting and law enforcement, your gut feeling. That's what led me up to what I call the sanctuary, where that structure is of the cross. That was a good story too on that one. I'll get to that one in a minute. But okay. But yeah, that's basically all I would do. And I don't do investigations anymore. I don't even call it research. I just go out to interact with them.
With that being said, is there any amount of skepticism left in your head about these creatures?
It's kind of funny you asked that, because when I see one, I still doubt myself I've seen one.
Fair enough.
There is a lot of skepticism. I mean, and I have a buddy that used to be a skeptic, but he's seen so much of my evidence, I've tainted him. But it's so, yeah, I'm the hardest skeptic on myself.
I think that every investigator or researcher should have quite a bit of skepticism to go along with whatever they believe. I think they should investigate or research middle of the line.
Yeah, I mean, all my sightings, I still have doubt. Is that what I really see?
Right.
Example, I was working third shift on Department of Corrections. Okay. I had a Ford Ranger, 99 Ford Ranger. So Kentucky roads are like paved cow paths. Single lane paved. I was going through there, and I had this big tall creature come out onto the road and was running same pace as my truck, about 35-ish. I actually had to, jerk the wheel and miss it, and I could not see its head and shoulders. There's farms about 3 or 4 miles away that had buffalo. I thought it was a buffalo. So I called 911, hey, you got a buffalo running around on this road. So I got to work, and everybody in corrections knew I was the Bigfoot guy. I had a sergeant, my co-sergeant was like, hey, Greg, you seen a Squatch and you just don't want to admit to it. I said, I don't know what I see. I said, I know it was bigger than my truck, and I didn't want to hit it. And to this day, I still don't know if it was a Squatch or not.
Now, this incident happened at nighttime?
It happened at nighttime, about 10 o'clock.
Do you feel like they're more active at night than they are during the day? And if so, why?
I think they're active whenever. I think they mostly at night because they prey on deer or animals. So they're like a coyote. Your best opportunity to catch deer is at night. During the day, the deer are just laying down. They're sleeping. At night, they come out. And I think they're mostly nighttime. But, there has been daytime sightings. I wouldn't put it past them to be asleep whenever they can.
Do you think they're strictly meat eaters then?
I don't think I think they're whatever. They're like
omnivores?
Yeah, they're carnivores. Like monkeys, apes, they'll eat anything.
All right. How many times would you say that you've seen a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot?
I've had over 200 sightings.
Oh, wow. So like over 200 times that you've actually put eyes on them, or over 200 times that you've experienced something out there that you thought could be a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch?
Where I've actually seen them, and if I count experience of, what was that flash? I would say probably another 200.
Tell me about the flash. What do you think? You see flashes a lot? Because I did see a few of your videos where you guys are looking at a light in the distance and you're seeing flashes. Tell me about that. What's the flash? What's going on with that?
Okay, the orbs, I don't know. It's kind of funny because I gotta remember how orbs can be UFO related or Bigfoot related or ghost. So sometimes you just get that little like shadow flash. You don't know what you're seeing. You don't know if it was a shadow figure or if it was just a trick on your mind or if it was just some kind of illusion. Those I really don't count as a sighting.
Do you think that could have something to do with them trying to gain the energy to come through that so-called portal or whatever?
I don't think they come through portals. I think they're like us.
You think they're flesh and blood?
They're flesh and blood.
Okay. If they're flesh and blood, how do you think that they stay so elusive? What's your theory behind that?
Well, I heard an old Indian lore, and I understand this Indian lore. If you look at the culture of what the white man did to the Native Americans. Okay, a lot of tribes hold Bigfoot dear. A lot of them don't like them. A lot of them fear them. I believe and this is the lore I heard. When the white man came in, there wasn't that many Bigfoots to begin with. They seen what the white man did to the Native Americans. So they went into hiding. And then when they would have interactions, they would always end up with the Squatch dead. And that's my theory. I think they just don't want anything to do with us. And if they do, like if a farmer has interactions, they won't say nothing because they built a relationship with the Squatches. Have you ever heard of Living with Bigfoot, the book Living with Bigfoot?
No.
Okay, go to, I'll get you Bob Dango's website.
Okay.
He sells the book.
He's the author?
Huh?
Is he the author?
No, the author died, and he is just doing he helps the woman out that the story is based on.
Oh, okay. I'm
not going to say I'm just telling you the book name, so I don't want to get any copyright infringements or whatever.
Right, okay.
He actually sells the book. He actually prints up like 10 copies a year and sells them, or how many other, but yeah, he sells them at like when he goes to a conference. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good book, and there's a lot of explanation. But yeah, like I said, I believe a lot more people have interactions with them, but they're afraid to come out. Or
they don't know they're having that interaction. They just, maybe they blame it on something else.
Well, here's a good example. Okay. My fiance does not believe in them. She was, when we were camping last summer, she was just having one of those bad days where, grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was throwing, being a typical woman. I'm going to get a bunch of hate mail, but...
Well, listen, that's on you, man, not me. You're the one that said it. I don't want anything to do with it.
But she'll agree, because she agrees. Well, all of a sudden, this rock comes out of the woods. Nobody is around us. The campground's empty. Comes out of the woods and hits her on the foot. We seen the rock. When it was next to her foot, there wasn't an acorn, because the acorn would have stayed right there too. There's no acorn, there was just one rock. And I looked at her, I said, you know what, you made that Bigfoot mad. They don't like when you're mean. And she goes, yeah, I was pretty mean. I said, so now what do you think? Oh, they don't exist.
But I saw in one video she wouldn't go out with you the next day because of it, right? She wouldn't go out hunting with you the next day, would she?
I don't know. Well, my kids' mom never went out with me. Dina, I don't know if I put in any videos.
I saw one where you said that she didn't want to come. She was camping with you guys, but she didn't want to come out in the woods with you because she had a rock thrown at her the day before.
Okay, yep. See, I didn't know those saved onto Facebook. I couldn't. But yeah, that was one of our live broadcasts.
Yeah.
Now, hey, did you go back and look at some of our previous ones?
I went. Man, I watched probably 20 of your videos on there, so it's hard to say.
Go back and find the first video.
Okay.
This is a trip. Okay, we walk in 1.5 miles, 2 miles onto this trail. There's nobody around. Only one way in. So we're sitting there doing our first live broadcast. Back then, you had to have an app to do live video through YouTube. So we were trying out a free one. So every 5 minutes we had to reset the server. So we're sitting there, we're trying all these little different tactics to call a Squatch in, just kind of having fun with it. Well, time came, it was 5 minutes, we had to switch, I had to reset the server. The other researcher standing in front of me. So all of a sudden we hear, hello.
Oh, I bet that was creepy.
My mouth dropped and I was like, did you hear it? He said, yes. I said, then we went and I said, and then all of a sudden we hear, hello, again. So we're really like, okay. And then it does it a third time. And then as soon as we heard the third time, we started screaming, are you okay? Are you a hiker? Do you need help? Nothing. No more interactions after that.
That's on the video?
No, we come on the video because it actually waited till we reset the server to say that. It was so smart. So we watched us and got our pattern up to know when I walked in front of the phone to reset the server, that's when we do it.
Huh. Interesting.
It was there. They have a pretty good intelligence. They do some stuff sometimes, but they're pretty intelligent.
So you think they can speak, or maybe say some words anyway?
Oh,
right?
it's if you actually dig into some of the research and talk to a lot of researchers, they'll agree. They can talk our language. They have their own language. I've actually had this happen where you're sitting there and you'll hear somebody call your name. We had that happen, Jeremy and I did. And he was probably 15 feet away from me, and we were putting out bait or food for him. And this I swore I heard Jeremy say Greg. And I said, yeah, Jeremy, what do you want? Because I didn't call your name. Jeremy, quit messing with me. So we get back to doing what we're doing, and I hear it again. And Jeremy said, I'm not saying it. And we had 4 other researchers that were down on the road. We could actually see them. So I yelled back, hey guys, why are you guys calling my name? They're like, we're not. We don't know where this Bigfoot was, but he was in the area.
Did they hear it too? The other ones?
They didn't hear it. It was only me that heard it. I'm not going to the woohoo side. Just me. I don't know why I was the only one, but yeah, I was the only one. But this group of Bigfoot that was in the area, I had been feeding for almost 2 years.
Okay, let's touch on that, and I want to back up a little bit because I have a couple questions I want to ask.
Yeah.
So when you're saying you've been feeding them for a couple years, what do you mean by that, and what are you feeding them?
Well, when I used to manage 2 gas stations, party stores or whatever, convenience stores. So my boss would let me take the expired food home. So I would either take, so I would get granola bars, bananas, blah, 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 bread, whatever. And then occasionally I would drop off a can of peanut butter. And then I would stick them up on, I would hang a fishing line across 2 trees. Nothing you can climb on the fishing line. No squirrel can. If they do, they'll break it. And put them in a Kroger's bag. Or a grocery bag, a Walmart's bag. Or in a milk crate. And they would come through and they would pull it out and eat it. It was in, I did that for about 2 years, and actually it's kind of funny, like the 4th or 5th month I was in doing it, the group I was doing it, I was setting up a new baiting area. 3 of them surrounded me, and one of them started shaking a tree about 6 inches around.
Wow.
Well, Jeremy worked with me at the gas station, and one of our gas stations, one of the deputy sheriffs would come in, and we were close friends with them. So I took my cell phone out, and I'm like, Jeremy, is Dave there? He goes, yeah. I said, put me on speakerphone. Hey, Dave, here's my location. If you don't hear from me in a half hour, come out here and get my dead body. And he could actually hear this tree shaking.
Wow. So have you ever tried to set up maybe a trail cam around one of these baiting stations?
Yes, I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
So after that shaking incident, these squatches actually became more timid towards me, and they would actually come out when I get there, they'd come out for about an hour, and they were done, and they would leave. One guy, one of my researchers, he got there before I did one time, and I was 30 minutes late. My old Ranger was a 99 Ranger, and it ran him. That guy was sitting out there, and he heard my truck coming down, and so did the squatches. So when the Bigfoots heard my vehicle rattling, they came running to that bait station.
Because they knew they were getting fresh food.
Yep. Go ahead and ask any more questions now, because the whole trail camera thing will be another story.
Okay.
And it's kind of a long one.
All right. You said that you use some tactics to draw them in when you're calling them. Like, what tactics are those? Is that a bait station and other stuff?
Actually, I don't do the bait stations anymore. We do it like we're on TV. We think we're entertainment to them. So we just talk amongst ourselves. We talk about everything and anything. My main researchers that I used to go out with, we all had a personal, we were all friends. So we would talk about, family or whatever. And that would bring them in. I've actually put, I've actually built fires and brought them that way with cooking different kinds of products. Salt pork. And it really, you could do just about anything. The tree knocks never worked for us. We'd get a knockback here and there. But basically just getting out in the woods and making yourself look like you're entertainment to them is the best way.
All right. So you did mention something about Native American folklore and Native American lore.
Yes.
So let's touch on that real quick. I know there are lots of theories out there with these creatures.
Yes.
And one of them are that they are somehow either tied to or maybe even Wendigo or a Skinwalker. What do you think about that?
When we're off the air, I'll talk to you about a Skinwalker.
Okay.
But I don't believe it's. I believe it's folklore that got mixed up. I don't believe they're Wendigo, Skinwalker. I believe they're their own entity, own being.
Okay.
That being said, I mean, I believe in their Skinwalkers, but I think those are humans.
They are. They're a Navajo witch or shaman who basically had to do a deed, which was murder, I believe, in order to gain special powers to be able to shapeshift into other animals.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, as far as them being, I think they're a Squatch, and they're always a Squatch. They don't shapeshift. They may put furs on from another animal, and that's why you get you can YouTube this. They had the woman's interview on it. The deer man out of Michigan. There's only been one sighting of it, and it was on this lady's porch. And I think what it was a Bigfoot had put a deer carcass on it itself to keep warm, or they could use it as a ploy to get other deer to get closer to them. I mean, down with the skin carcass, it's just like putting the decoy deer they do out now. I mean, as far as I don't think they could shapeshift. I'm pretty well down the middle of the road. I'm not. They're going to kill us and eat us, or I'm not the woohoo side, what I call, where they're this mythical creature that can do all these special abilities.
Fair enough. Well, let's move on to the trail cam story. I'm excited now. Let's hear it.
Okay. I was shooting in this area with Joe. It was near Hello Hill where we had experienced the Squatch that said hello. It was probably about a mile and a half away.
Is that why you call it Hello Hill?
Yep, it's because of the hello. But anyways, I sat up there like a month prior to that with Joe. Well, we got made a contact with a TV production crew, and the thing fell through. But anyway, so they were up in northern Michigan filming. I was down in lower part of Michigan filming in this area. So I'm sitting there, and I have 2 trail cameras set up. One was facing where a Squatch had looked at Joe and I on a previous outing there. You could actually see the footprints where it had stood and looked around the tree on us. I put it to where the trail camera could catch that tree. So if he came back out there, and then I put one behind me. So I'm sitting up on this ridge. Below me is a swamp. And then there's a little road that goes across, and there's U of M property, which has a 20-foot prison fence around it. University of Michigan. But there's a game trail that comes along the fence and then comes across into the swamp, then up the ridge. So I'm sitting there, and it gets dark, and I hear the Squatch in the swamp, and he's trying to figure out how to come across the ridge without me seeing him. So I get leery, so I walk back to my Ranger, which is only 50 feet away. So my spot I had set up, I had the camera set up looking at me, sitting in a chair, and a lantern sitting there. I went to my truck to get my mag light, and I had a little tactical, and I was trying to do what all guys do, see which one's the brightest as I'm walking back to the truck.
Yeah, we do that, don't we?
Yeah. Blondie, all white Bigfoot, about 10 foot tall, comes up the ridgeline, doesn't care I'm there. I'm facing east. He comes up facing north. He turns to the east and walks right by my chair. My camera wasn't on. He walked by one trail camera. I don't know how close he got, so I don't know if it was really if it would have actually triggered the photo or not. Okay. So, he continued walking. I kept both flashlights on him. Could care less I was there. So he went on down. He went towards Hello Hill. But 10 minutes prior to that, there was a female Squatch, I'm assuming, had screamed out. And he was trying to get to her. And he finally said, screw it, I'm coming up or not. I'm going up the hill, up the ridgeline. He came up, and luckily I wasn't sitting in my chair because I'd probably been flabbergasted. So he goes in and he disappears into the woods. I checked my trail cameras. None of them took photos.
Them damn things never do when you need them to, do they?
Well, I don't think they were set in the right spot because I remember about 2 weeks later, I go back out. So I set them up. And I get where the trail is, and then I got to where if he comes up the other way, get caught with the second trail camera. So I'm talking, I'm out there, and Bob called me, and I'm talking to Bob, and I'm looking over there, and my trail cameras were they were $100 a piece, but the infrared wasn't really great because you could still see it on the leaves. And I said, Bob, something just kicked my camera. My camera just went on. So I kept talking to Bob, and I said, okay, Bob, I'm gonna let you go. I'll call you back tomorrow. So I waited another hour. Then curiosity got the best of me. So I went and got the trail cameras. I reached around and I shut them off before I got in front of them. They both had zero footage on it. The SD cards were swiped, formatted, everything before I went out there. They had zero footage on them. One said it had four shots. The other one said it had 3. So they had 7 videos. I get back. The DCMI files created. The video file, not where the videos will show up, but there's no footage. 7. There was on one STKR. There was 4 of them. Nothing on it. The other one had 3 of them on it. Nothing on it. I don't know. And I got another researcher I know that uses them a lot. And he said I gave up on them because all my video footage keeps getting corrupted.
So what do you think the reasoning is behind that? Are they giving off some sort of electromagnetic field, or maybe the infrasound we spoke about earlier is corrupting these files or ruining equipment? Because I know this happens quite a bit during almost any paranormal investigation or anything like that has anything to do with electronic equipment. There always seems to be some sort of interference.
I don't know. I know it happened. The TV show that used to be on Animal Planet. It happened to them once, but it also squashed a lot of stuff. But yeah, I remember them having that episode where they had put meat out. And all the trail cameras that was watching the meat. That being said, that's an unreliable source. There was a guy that come out of Texas said yes, it happened to you. I've had 2 legit researchers say yes, Greg, I've had that happen the same way.
Crazy.
So I just gave up other than the trail cameras. I tried the technology and it doesn't work. I give up on it. It is what it is. Unless you're going to run a drone, and I'm actually a drone pilot, a commercial pilot. Unless you're going to run a $30,000 drone, you'll never catch Bigfoot footage. You need that night vision and the thermo, and you run it for at least, a good distance and a good while, and you got to make sure you know the area and if there's Squatches in it, because it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. I mean, the area I do, I think there's probably 10 Bigfoots, and that's being generous.
Do you think they live in tribes, like families, or?
I think they don't live in tribes. They live in family units. And I think that's where most how they live. And I think the groups I mess with or have been experienced with usually no more than 4. Usually a female and a male, and a couple juveniles or 1 juvenile.
Have you ever seen any juveniles?
No, but I've been within 3 foot of one and didn't know it.
All right, I'll bite. How'd you figure that one out?
Okay, Jeremy and I was out in a location where we used to bait, and we knew there was a juvenile there. We had come back from a hike, and we're at my back of my truck, Ranger's bed, and this was a FLIR site, so it's a shorter bed. So I'm standing right where the tire well is on the roadside, so I was sitting on the driver's side. So Jeremy and I are sitting there, and we're talking, and I go to move to the back of the truck, and you hear this watch.
Could this just simply have been a deer?
It wasn't a deer, because a deer wasn't to stand there, and we don't have anything bigger than a deer out here. You hear this watch freaking jump up and run through the woods, and you see the brush. Jeremy and I both seen the brush moving. And I'm like, holy cow. I said, Jeremy, why didn't we go around, search the truck before we actually moved?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're ninjas. I mean, I've seen them walk through a campsite with the researchers. Well, it actually happened to us. The researchers less than 5 feet away.
You don't think they have any special abilities like they're able to cloak or anything like that, is that right?
I don't think they can. Honestly, I mean, they would take a tremendous amount of energy. I mean, and I think a lot of that is our minds. Or
would it? Because we don't really know how much energy that would take. I mean, take a chameleon, for instance. We could say that it would take us a lot of energy to change color, but if it's instilled in our DNA, it doesn't necessarily have to, right?
I think a lot of that is people blocking out stuff when they see it, or just, their mind just can't comprehend. They just seen something that they're told does not exist. Looks like they disappear.
I don't know if that would be something that would happen immediately or later on when you actually had time to think of it, not in the heat of the moment. I know that I've had some experiences in my life, and I haven't immediately said, I didn't see that. I just said, what the hell am I seeing? And then maybe later on I second-guessed myself, and then maybe even after a couple of those experiences, when I've had time to actually deep think about it, then maybe I block it out.
I've seen some videos, it's like, oh my God, what the hell? And other ones, it's like, so I don't know. I mean, like I said, unless I see one actually cloak in front of me, and me have my FLIR to see, there he is, I can see him on the FLIR, but I can't see him. Yes, did not say yes, that's 100% legit.
I don't think we're ever going to know exactly what any of them can do until we have one in front of us to look at, right?
Yeah, I hate to say yes. I'm 100% against shooting them.
Well, you'll never find out if they can do it if you shoot them anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, but all the stories I've heard of where people have shot them, most times those people don't make it out alive. I mean, like I said, I unless we get one body, we'll know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they know. There would be some organ that they would find on them. Just like a chameleon, it's the skin that actually changes color. And it would be some type of organ, they would actually, okay, this is what does this organ do? And they can figure it out. I mean, or if they get one, most likely they'll get 2 or 3 right after that. I say the governments already have them. They deem it not a threat, so they're not worried about it. Just per se of all the bodies that back in the 1800s when they found the bodies and the Smithsonian came in and took them. And what was it? A few years ago, Smithsonian said, "Oh yeah, we found bodies of giants and we destroyed them." So, I mean, they didn't say what kind of giants, but they said there were giants. So I believe a lot of that was destroyed. And now, I mean, people's also said that Bigfoot pops into trees. Will literally jump into a tree and hide. And I've actually heard a witness interview that actually I was there when she was talking about it. Said she's seen the Squatch actually just disappear. But you got to remember, watch a deer, especially if it goes in the woods. What happens? It disappears.
Yeah, they lose track of them pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, they camouflage.
Even after you shoot them.
Yep.
Like, I'm not a hunter, but I know that you have to normally track them after you shoot them. So
yes, you do. I am actually a hunter, and you do have to track them. And most of the time, you don't see that deer coming on you. That deer just pops up, or that turkey, because that's their environment. They're off to be camouflaged. But yeah, as far as that, I don't know. I mean, unless we really know for sure. I think a lot of sightings too are, and I'm not going to go into who I think. Okay, when I see a Squatch, and I've talked to other people that have seen it, usually you don't have post-traumatic stress. I've been noticing a lot of people have started doing that, and I think a lot of them have. There's 2 theories I have on that. They're either letting a demon in their life, or they've been abducted by aliens for so long that they're portraying the aliens as a Bigfoot.
Well, that was actually on my list here. There are a lot of Bigfoot sightings that are also accompanied by UFO sightings, and I want to know what your take is on that.
Correct. But if you look at the sightings and where they're at, and you look at the terrain, it's only natural. I mean, most UFO sightings are away from urban areas where there's no light pollution. And you got to count how many UFO sightings have been a mistake of a satellite. So you're looking, you grew up in a city, you go camping for the first time, or you go to the woods for the first time. You're looking at the stars, and you see this star that's moving so far up there. You think, okay, what is that? Most people don't know you can actually go outside and watch a satellite. So, and I think it's just because a lot of the people that grew up in the city are now going out to the woods, and they're, yes, I agree. There's a lot of UFO sightings with Bigfoot sightings in the same area, but I just believe it's just a coincidence because it's pretty rural. And if I was flying a UFO, I wouldn't want to be in like the city of DC. I would want to be in the northwest of, the U.S. Northwest, where there's no witnesses.
Well, let's talk about area for a second, since we're already kind of talking about it. One of the themes I've heard you mention one of the things I've heard you mention a couple of times tonight, and I seem to notice is a reoccurring theme in your videos, is water.
Yes.
Now, do you guys purposely set up around water because you know they're going to be near there? And if so, why are they near there? Is it because it's, a natural water source?
No, we don't purposely set up for water. One of my researchers kept on saying that was a big thing. But I'm in Michigan. You sneeze and there's a lake. I mean, we're basically in the lower half a swamp with rolling hills. And it just happens to be the area that we do our main focus on has 7 lakes. Well, actually has 14 lakes that you can boat on around there. That's not counting the little small ones that you can take a boat without a motor on, or private ponds. There's lakes in the area.
So do you think that you have a better chance of seeing a Sasquatch near water, or you don't think it matters?
I don't think it matters. I mean, but also you got to think, all creatures need water. And you're an 800-pound creature, you're going to need a lot of water. I don't think they're like a camel where they can hold water. But that being said, I don't go by water. I just go by how populated it is, as in people. And most of the time I don't even do that. I just go out and I just pick a spot, and then I go with the punches. 95% of the time there's a squatch in there. I don't know if it's gut instinct. I can pretty well guarantee to have an interaction if I go out. Sometimes it's harder than other times. Sometimes there's nothing out there, even in an area that I've worked for years. A good example, the sanctuary. Okay, what happened was we did a couple live broadcasts in there, and I decided we did a day trip out there.
Is this an animal sanctuary?
No, it's just what I call a sanctuary.
Okay.
It was where I believe the Squatches were hanging out at to have a safe location. The photo is the one that's on my Sasquatch Hunters organization page. I hiked in there. I had shorts and sandals on. When I got through there, my legs were bloody. That tells me there was a guaranteed no humans had been out there.
With shorts and sandals on anyway.
Yeah. So there's 2 ponds out there in the middle of this thicket. I get out there and I'm kind of looking at the structure. I'm taking photos of it, just looking at the area. And I walk more into the area. It cleared out all the underbrush. All of a sudden, this tree comes flying from the other side of the swamp at me.
A whole tree?
A whole tree. It was probably...
How big was this tree?
Probably a 3-foot round tree.
Whoa. Back up. Again, a whole ass tree.
It was a dead tree, so it had no roots on it.
Yeah, but even if, I bet you, I'd have been gone.
I just freaked out. I was like, dude, I'm not scared of you. So he stomped around a little bit more. So I dropped a trail camera in there and hit it. And then I walked out another way. I looked for human trash, tracks, whatever. Nothing. I waited a week, got my trail camera, went back on my trail camera, nothing there, no photos, not even no animal photos. This was a watering area. So I said, okay. So I went back there and I took my son and my female child and one of my research buddies, ex-research buddy, and we went out there and we hiked in, and he's complaining the whole time. Everybody is. So we get back there and he's like, oh my God, Greg, look at all this structure and stuff. I said, yeah. So him and I get out there and we start looking and we're like, dude, and nothing happens. They won't do anything aggressive when a kid's with you.
That's interesting.
So we, and we're looking, and that research guy and I was talking, and I said, yeah, you don't see any human trash. So there's no humans out here. And I showed him where the tree came from and showed him this, and we got to looking at the structure, the cross, and you can actually see how it was bent and twisted. So we hiked out. We didn't go. We left that area alone for probably a year, and we came back, and there was nothing. The structures were all. They hadn't made any new structures or tree formations, so we left the area. But we noticed there was more human trash in there. Well, come to find out, the poachers were going up in there shooting the deer, so it scared the Squatches out of there. That's why there was. It was their sanctuary, but when humans started going in there with guns, they left. And I tell everybody, they don't want guns around them. They won't interact if you carry a gun.
I've had a few people tell me that.
Now, that being said, when I'm up north doing it, on those videos, I am carrying a 40 caliber just because I have my fiance and my son, and there's bear around.
Yeah.
Now, the first campsite we went to up there, I didn't do any footage up there or anything. I just kind of did my own. But anyways, we got up there, and it was in a field area. We had woods surrounding us, but there was a little area where it was kind of, the field was on one side of it, 2 roads were on the other side, and the trail was on just a little acre plot of trees, which isn't unusual for Michigan because of clear cutting. But we're sitting there, and I mean, we're dispersal camping. We're 2 miles from nowhere. We set up camp. Nothing happens that night. The next day, get done with dinner. We're sitting in the tent because the mosquitoes were bad in the screened-in porch, and we hear this bear coming in. Yes, I did have my my pistol and my rifle with me just because of that. Well, all of a sudden, you hear a crack from this little acre of woods that was south of us. So the bear was coming in from the north. And you hear this bear turn around and start running. And we had heard crashes earlier in the day in the same area. I had my feelings of what it was, but so that night, my fiance was all freaked out. Then she heard 2 elk calling. Dad just sent her over the edge. So she made me stay up all night by the fire.
Lucky you.
Yes. So you could hear the Squatch walk around the camp to keep this bear away. And how you do it is you don't listen for footprints. You listen for mice to make their panic call. Mice will tell you where a predator is. You don't have to listen for footprints. And anybody been in the woods, when you're walking, and if you're actually quiet and you step by a mouse, it's going to go dee-dee-dee-dee, or whatever, however they sound. You could hear that go around the camp all night long in about a mile-wide circle.
Somebody was looking out for you.
Yeah, so I think it was because of my fiance, 100% Native American.
Or that your son was with you too.
Yeah, my son was with me, and plus, I had an AR-15 and a pistol with me. But that Squatch knew I wasn't there to harm him, because they will do tests to scare you to see what you're going to do.
What kind of tests do they do?
They will scare you. They will literally try to scare the crap out of you. Like the day the one with the sheriff was listening on the phone when the Squatches were all around me. They were actually trying to see what I would do, how I would react.
Throw rocks at you, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I usually tell them to stop, and they usually stop because they want to see how you're going to react. And if you're mean, or if you become violent by pulling out a gun or a machete or whatever, they're just going to turn around and walk away. And they're just wanting to see if you're actually a good person and not there to harm them, but to just enjoy the outdoors. And do you know how many people probably enter the woods and don't even know Squatches watched them?
Yeah, there's probably a lot, probably quite a few.
The Pottawattamie Trail, it runs through Michigan. It's a very popular trail for mountain bikers and hikers. There actually was a blind we found. It wasn't a human blind, no trash, right on the trail. And we actually stumbled upon it. And I actually got into the blind. I could see the trail perfectly, but my researcher buddies could not see me, and I didn't have camo on. So, I mean, if they couldn't see me in just street clothes, you ain't seeing a Squatch.
Could it have been any other type of blind?
It wasn't an ambush blind because there was no way to get from the blind to the path quickly.
Well, if you say so. I'm not an expert on hunting blinds or any other kind of blinds, so I'm going to have to take you for your word.
So it was a blind just made there to watch people walk by.
Hey, I know there's a few guys out there, a few researchers out there that are working on the theory that the reason why they can be so elusive and disappear so fast is because they're actually using cave systems that are spread all throughout the United States. What do you think about that?
So they're basing it off of like a Godzilla King Kong movie.
Yeah, I really can't form any correlation there because I haven't seen the King Kong Godzilla movie.
Basically, it's the same kind of theory where there's a cave system that goes anywhere in the world or across the U.S.
Well, there is a pretty big one in Kentucky called the Mammoth Cave System. It goes between Kentucky and Tennessee, and I believe that stretches up into Maine. And there are a bunch of other cave systems that are connected with that.
Okay, now my first wife, she worked for the Department of Kentucky in the Revenue Cabinet, okay? I know you're like, oh, where's this going? Okay, her job was to map coal mines.
Okay.
She had access to a program, and this is in 2002, so this is pretty old technology, so it's a lot better. All that stuff was mapped out and was getting better. They knew where every mine was. They knew where every oil well was. They knew where every old mine was. That being said, yes, I mean, there's a possibility, but okay, good example, Michigan. We sat on a round table sized plateau of sandstone before we hit granite. So it's nothing but dirt between us and that. I don't think there's a cave system throughout the U.S. I mean, just because the areas of like Florida, the limestone sinking and flooding or whatever, I don't think they could survive the pressure down that far.
Okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I could be absolutely wrong. There could be no pressure in it. But I was thinking about when they built the Brooklyn Bridge, that's how they discovered about the bins. I'm not gonna go into it because I can't remember the whole story, but I know that people were getting the bins and they didn't know why these workers were getting sick in these shafts under the water. But like I said, I don't know. I mean, it could be legit, but you got too much what do they call that underground, the big lakes underground, those water reserves that are natural made. I can't think of the name.
I'm pretty sure that's called an aquifer. I could be wrong though.
They could. I mean, there could be tunnels everywhere in the world. I don't know. I just know that the systems that we had in 2002 are greatly improved 20 years later. So I'm sure that, especially with the oil industry, I mean, they are the one that found the meteor impact in the Gulf. They caused the dinosaurs to go extinct. So as far as, and we dig under the ground all the time. I mean, drilling wells, drilling for oil, you know, I guess there could be one. I'm not disputing it. I just, my personal belief, I don't think there would be. I think they just travel. Actually, yes, there is knowledge I have, and I can't say it because that's sworn to secrecy. But I know when they have to travel, say like, it would take a regular person walking 30 days. Say from Michigan to Kentucky. I don't know how long it would take a regular person to walk. Just take 30 days, ballpark for a year. It will take a family of Bigfoots of 3, probably 120 days.
Why is that?
What they're doing is they'll walk for a little bit and then they'll backtrack, and they will send one. They'll have 2 of them staying in one area, and the other one, say Bigfoot A, will walk 5 miles in one direction and make sure he leaves prints. When he walks back on his old tracks. So he backward walks. So if they are being tracked, and if they don't leave trails when the three of them leave, or if they do and they all walk in the same footprint, you got two directions to go. So most likely...
That seems like a heck of a lot of work just to keep someone off your trail every time you go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And a human ain't gonna follow. I'm sorry, I don't care what kind of 5 miles for us to walk 5 miles. Big brush. We're not going to do it. We're gonna walk 2.5 miles after we get exhausted. I've heard researchers actually follow a trail out under a frozen lake, and it ends there. No trees around, nothing for it to jump on. Middle of the lake, and the trail ends. So either a spaceship picked it up.
Well, that is a theory.
Or it grew the wings and flew off, or it just walked backwards on this thing.
Like I said, we'll never know till we get one, right?
Yep. I mean, a lot of it is, a lot of researchers know. I mean, you've seen enough, like, oh crap moments. And you're like, Sasquatch. No, this was somebody faking it. A good example, and I'm not going to say the location. When I was down in Kentucky, I get a call from a hunter, and he asked me some questions. I'm like, okay, where are you leading with this? He goes, okay, this is what happened with my brother. He goes, we were out hunting. He stopped his brother, Hunter B, went one way on his four-wheeler to a tree line. Hunter A went to another tree line. Dark comes, Hunter A goes back home. Hunter B, the brother, doesn't show up. This is before cell phones, so there's no communications. Collars. So brother A, Hunter A, decides, well, brother must have got him a deer. Let's go out and skin it. He grabs a couple other buddies. They all take four-wheelers off to get his brother. His brother's in the stand and won't come down. So they finally get him down and they take him back to the house, and they're like, what the hell? They actually give him a couple shots to calm him down. I'm sitting there hunting, and I see this guy in a ghillie suit coming up towards me. I thought it was a ghillie suit. It wasn't. It was fur or hair. He goes, this thing walks up to me 10 foot off the ground. This thing comes up underneath my stand, looks at me, looks down, looks at me, looks down. The Bigfoot takes his hand, pokes the guy's foot. Does that several times. Then the Squatch reaches up and takes and grabs the guy's foot. Doesn't squeeze it, just kind of feels it, and then lets go. Looks back up at the bow hunter, look down, look back, and then walks up. So the brother, the hunter that called me, was, what do we do? My brother won't go hunting anymore. I said, would you go hunting anymore if something like that happened? He goes, no. I said, yeah. I said, tell your brother it won't hurt him. It was just curious. And I tell everybody, if you see one and you think it's going to harm you, talk to it like a person. Most likely it will just ignore you. I said, kudos to your brother for not shooting him, because he wouldn't have lived.
Especially with a bow, right?
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, don't shoot one. Don't try to kill one. Don't try to trap one. The best you can hope is get some DNA from a piece of duct tape or something, some kind of DNA trap you set out there. These guys have been avoiding us for hundreds of years. You ain't gonna catch one. Let me touch base. A lot of people are getting this theory of the Squatches will hurt you. No, they won't. I mean, they'll bluff charge you. They'll throw sticks at you. They'll throw trees at you. But they'll never, if they want to kill you, they're going to kill you without even you knowing it. Now, there is some mean ones. I will admit to that. But I think those are far and few between. They don't really want to mess with us because they know if you kill a human, 100 more humans are going to come look for that body. Now, there could be a few rogue ones out there or mentally disturbed ones, yes. But no, I don't think they would kill a human unless they had to. And they're definitely not going to mate with a human.
Right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, Greg, but I got a couple more questions for you, man.
Okay.
All right. So, how close have you ever been to a Sasquatch? And what kind of encounter was it?
Okay, well, Blondie was about 9 foot away. The one looked in my window was probably a foot away. I was sitting in my truck waiting for another researcher. We were doing a live broadcast, and I hadn't set up yet. I was still sitting and I was talking to my buddy Keith, the skeptic, and I was like, Keith, I gotta let you go. I got something keeps flashing. I'm sitting in the driver's seat, so something keeps flashing outside my window. And he said, okay. I said, I want to make sure it's got the light from the phone. So I turn off the phone, and I'm sitting there looking forward like I'm driving, but I'm parked. And it does it again. So I'm like, okay. I try looking, and it's not there. So I kept my head turned that way, but I turned my ball cap forward, so it looked like I was looking forward. The Squatch peers over and looks at me and realizes he's looking at me in the face.
Oh, wow.
Off running and runs through the brush behind me.
Well, you scared him.
Mm-hmm. But before that, I heard my cooler. I kept a cooler in my back of my truck at the tailgate with Dr. Pepper in it. I heard that cooler open and then shut. I don't know if one tube was took out or what, but yeah.
It's close enough, huh?
Yeah, I mean, literally, yeah, there's been several occasions where I've had them pretty close.
I hear they stink.
You know what? The only time we've actually had smell is in the fall. I don't know why, and it smells like a musky urine smell. And it was 3 of us, and it was on. There was actually a group I met out in one of my locations, and I go out on state land, so it's public land. They asked me, well, basically they told me they're going up there no matter if I was coming or not. But they wanted to let me know. I said, okay, I'll go out with you guys. And one of the researchers, 2 of them stayed back at their campground, and another one, and me and my buddy, Jeremy, walked with him, and you could actually smell. We got smell a couple times, and then later that night we went on another hike, and we smelled it in a different location. But we've only had the smell in the fall.
Okay.
I don't know if it's something to do with their bathing schedule, their mating schedule, but that would make sense. I mean, they're in the environment, they'd be like a deer. They would try to mate in the fall, so the babies are born in the spring or summer.
Yeah.
Before I moved down to Kentucky, I had a buddy. I was up here, and we went to an area that we found on the Bigfoot reporting page, and we drove out there, and we kind of looked at the area. A lot of people had pretty high fences for farmland, but this one spot, and we got this god-awful smell. So we drove down, and we turned the car back around and went back again, and the smell was gone. It could have been a septic, because we were by about old homes. We don't know. But it happened in the fall, and it always happens. The only time I get the smell is in the fall. And that's even with Kentucky. Actually, in Kentucky, I never got any smells in Kentucky. And I haven't had any smells since that one time in the fall. But I think they bathe pretty well. I mean, like I said, you throw a rock and you hit a lake here. So, I mean, it's pretty well. I mean, they can take, they can go swimming, because there's hidden lakes here that you can't even get a boat on. So, I mean, there's hidden ponds. Like I said, Sanctuary had 2 little ponds. They could hop in that pond and go clean themselves. But I've always heard that they try to keep themselves, a lot of the groups try to keep themselves clean.
All right. Let me ask you this. What do you think Bigfoot is, Greg?
I think they were around when the cavemen were around. They're Neanderthals. I mean, I think they're one of the creatures that didn't evolve like us. Or they could have been an ape that evolved. I watched a show. I know it's a bad thing. They were doing the DNA study. And I threw this up to a couple other researchers, and they're like, oh no, they're apes. But that show, even though they had the bad DNA guy, all said that was bear DNA.
bear DNA?
Yeah, it was the one that it was on Discovery Channel, and they had a panel of scientists did a DNA thing. The Russian doctor was on there. Igor, can't remember his last name. But I got to thinking, why do they have to be an evolved ape? Why can't they be an evolved bear that never did take the step like we did?
Well, Greg, that's as good of a theory as any of them out there, I guess.
Yeah.
So here goes the last question of the night. Where can everybody find you and see all those videos and pictures you've been talking about?
They are on Mr. Wildlife 168 on YouTube. And you can also go to my Facebook page, Sasquatch Hunters Organization. There's quite a few that I actually, because YouTube changed their policy so you can't actually record live anymore on YouTube without having 1,000 subscriptions. So I have to do it through Facebook Live.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show and talking with us tonight. I feel like you gave us lots of information, and I think that you put a lot out there, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, that about does it for Dreamland tonight, dreamers. If you like the show, please remember to hit the subscribe button and feel free to leave us a review. Thanks again for listening, and good night.